interfere, like with the things that we're facing as.
Let me see. I think we are live. I just want to make sure. Okay. Welcome, everybody, to today's episode of Wisdom Cafe Live. My name is Bob Choat. I'm the Transformational Grandmaster, and I'm happy to have here as my guest the beautiful Sofie Nubani, the Queen of Laughter and Wisdom, also my co-host of this on the Wisdom Cafe, and on so many other areas that we are so interconnected in many ways. Sofie Nubani, again, the Queen of Laughter and Wisdom, is certified in many areas. She's currently finishing up her doctorates in spiritual development. She's has her doctorate in divinity. Sofie Nubani is also certified in EFT, TFT, and she's an emotional and social intelligence coach. She's an NLP master practitioner. She's certified in many transformational processes, CHIOS. She's and I can just keep going on and on and on and on. All of her energy healing areas as well. Sofie Nubani, the reason we're here with her is because she has her in pre-launch today of her book, Optimize a Creative Mindset, book one. And it's the first of three in a series. And it's going to be a wonderful book. And I can tell you, and I can attest to it, the power that this book possesses. And I can go on and on and on about the book and about Sofie and so much more, because so many people have like want her, and here she is on Wisdom Cafe Live, and I finally get to interview her again because I had the great privilege of interviewing her on my podcast. And Sofie, oh my goodness, I'm just so happy to have you here. It's so amazing, the Queen of Laughter and Wisdom, and for me to interview you as your book has just pre-launched. So Sofie, welcome here to Wisdom Cafe Live.
Thank you so much, Dr. Bob. And I really received this in much gratitude and appreciation. And thank you for the great intro. And I have so much respect to everything that you do and your very positive influence on my journey personally as well. There is not enough words to thank our mentors because we become and transition and transcend and evolve in our consciousness based on our experiences and our associations. And I have to say that when we are surrounded with that and we challenge each other on certain things and more, and including our inner circle of people that we are associated with together as well, I really believe it's such a blessing. And it is also to be mindful. I share this with others so that they can also be aware of that influence, that positive influence, that influence in the midst of chaos that gives you calmness from within. The more you are associated with that of what could inspire, encourage, and challenge you and truly stimulate your mind to be more creative, is going to be a plus to your life. Always. It's only going to add good, even in the midst of what may appear to be a big challenge, without discounting its fact, but the ability to look at it as another opportunity to be more creative as a default mechanism, training our minds in that area will allow us to, look at it like, oh, okay, well, this is a tough one. I mean, I do see it from just this angle right now. It's pretty not so cool. But once we are thinking in a different way and learn how to look at things always in a different way, our thought process and our mind mapping starts becoming more clear. And it's so important to be very mindful of that and to invite more of those experiences into our life. And so I want to thank you again. And it's such an honor and pleasure to be your co host and other of a lot of other endeavors that we do share together. You are such a very, I love working with you. I love your demeanor. I love your grounded calmness and also consistency. And this is very important because you build on that and there's always movement, and we were meant to breathe, and the minute we stop breathing we stop living. So the minute
Yes.
we stop moving, whether it is in physical action and or in our mind, not moving towards panic and anxiety, but moving towards solutions and creativity, we make space for our expanded surroundings to be also at more ease, because we project that kind of energy out of us to what is around us as well. And this will definitely reap a lot of great rewards on multi-dimensional and diverse levels.
Yes.
So
Yes. Yes.
thank you, Bob. Thank you
You're
so much.
you're you're very welcome, Sophie. Your book, Optimize the Creative Mindset, regarding the whole series, and in particular this book one, it's been, and I know that the challenges you have gone through, as well as the growth that you come out of this, and including what you've learned, and really being able to take yourself to a higher level as well through this,
Uh-huh.
and and after our numerous conversations, I know that you spent so much time that I equate what you've learned in going through this and really expanding, equating it to uh, a graduate level degree in terms of learning. And all of us, all of us that get to get to have that, and I would say for a very low cost in terms of the time and effort, days and nights and hours and hours and hours and weeks and weeks and weeks and months and months of what you put into this is amazing. And the fact that what you've been able to draw off and being able to expose all of us to in this book one, and for such a low cost, again, like I said earlier, is powerful. So let me ask you, what got you started on this journey of bringing this out, the Optimize a Creative Mindset book one in book series?
I have, just for people, this is because we learn from each other always. And so I had went to a book camp with Vishal Marjara 2 years ago. And I originally had almost my book ready on emotional healing that lasts, minus 2 chapters. The 2 chapters are still minus till today, because for me to put something in a book that is with my connection of intention and energy and projection and what I would love to leave behind me on this earth, it has to be aligned with me truly understanding it, believing it, and also delivering it in a way that I feel fit. And so those two areas were not complete yet in a cycle of divine timing. However, going back 2 years later, um, that still was in the back of my mind, and I always wanted to write books, not just one. I love writing, I love posting, I love doing this, I love writing articles, a lot of stuff. But I've noticed, and that's prior, that was almost around, I would say, in last summer beginning. It accumulated. I've noticed there is so much repetition of the same thing consistently. When somebody gets one thing going, and it's like everybody's all using the same thing. So we've been on the law of attraction for 2 decades in a row, and I'm not. Listen, I love it. I believe in it. I feel that it's associated with other things and pillars for it to really be of a full spectrum for myself. Everybody has their own experience and opinion about that. However, literally, I felt that what is happening? Why is this so? In the United States, it's a different system on corporate level, and in Europe it's different, and in Middle East is different, Asia, India, so forth. I've noticed that we have gone to a point where a lot of people are working so hard, putting so much time, that by the time they're able to get to their creative zone, they're too exhausted. And by default, this repetition creates a story in their mind that they are not creative, when it is really that faculty is so dormant because it's so exhausted to even come to life, and you aren't able to stimulate or activate it. And so I tried to understand this process a little bit more with myself. And I loved what I do in the past, and I am so grateful for it, because without it, I wouldn't have learned a lot of uh, great skills that I picked through that experience. But I literally had to, resign and give myself time to focus on writing this book. I had different job opportunities in between and offers, and in my brain, all I kept saying, I am not doing anything until I'm done with the book. I had family members ask me, what are you going to do? What are you doing? I said, I'm doing nothing until I'm done with this book. And people wonder, oh, you must be like perfectly set, or you're perfectly fine, okay, and all that. It's when there's a will, there's a way. And sometimes you might not understand how things unfold to your favor, because you set that intention with genuine integrity and authenticity, that things start unfolding to support it, provided when you do that, you are clear on what you want. So when you set that intention, you are also putting the willpower, your willpower with it. Now you're no longer just operating in a physical form, and going to work, coming back, driving your car, going to Dunkin' Donut, getting your coffee, doing this, doing that. I don't know what people do, but I see that on the roads a lot of time. But the idea is, when you're able to truly clear your mind and allow the space within, in silence, to feel what it is that you are truly wanting to do, it starts becoming easier, and it starts to be more, I would say, it's like it's less effort in finding that. However, it is not less discipline and committing to that. So I have never in my entire career, and I'm 46 years old, I will be 47 in June. I have never worked this hard in a sense of time discipline that I have for this book in my life, on any project, including when I did my real estate exam, when I did this, that. I kid you not, there'll be hours and hours and hours. And I'm like, oh my God, it is sunset already. That's how fast the time was going. Because what I wanted to do in this book, I wanted to incorporate evidence, real stories, and my own channeled intuition, and creative, strategies that I did provide in each area of the different series. And book one, um, as I shared on a prior interview with Tokyo Edward on personal branding, was originally going to be called Creative Mind 101. And the title had to be revised because the material in is a lot more advanced than a 101 creativity or simple information, meaning, like take a walk and you're re-energized and you become more creative. uh, Laugh a little bit more and the endorphins are going to increase and your stress level decrease and you're going to create more. So those basic reminders are also basic level one. And I'm not, hey, I might write a level one in the future for kids because I'm very passionate about the subject. But when I was drawn to the subjects that I'm providing, I have to say thank you, Optimize a Creative Mindset. Thank you because Sofie Nubani has grown so much learning from what it wanted to serve as an intention humanity. That there were things coming and getting channeled divinely,
Yes.
epiphanies, aha moments that I've never had before in more apparent times during this process. Um, you know, Visions, dreams, you name it. Everything was cooperating to help assist in even the chapters of the book. So what I had originally also changed. It got so deep and so more revised in a sense where until the very last minute, 3 days ago, before the live launch on Amazon, I had something come to me. And from that thing, I have created an amazing new thing in chapter one that was dynamic. And it's going to help a lot of people. And they don't have to wait for chapter two or three because the dots were connecting so well that it just aligned in a harmony. I had to remove a topic of one of the chapters, which was on characterology, which I really loved. I love the color codes of the different personalities and giving you the ability to understand how that influences creativity. And my dear friend and the founder of the Foundation of Characterology in the United States, he's German originally, wrote the book that is being revised in Seattle. But for some reason, after meditating and contemplating of 2 days, and this is me putting the material in and incorporating his contribution to my evaluation to the book and where it fits for our readers. And I say R is because Optimize a Creative Mindset is part of your hosting. It loves you guys so much because it was pushing me to work so much for you. And so it turned out to another whole area. And you guys are my big family. I love you.
Yes.
And this is why I am sharing with you the details of things that maybe I wouldn't need to share, but just so that you can go into an author's life and mind and learn, if you are in that spot or that happens to you, to be able to have that flexibility and adapting well to what happens when things are twisted or changed, including our epidemic right now. Yeah, you would think that, in the midst of all of these things happening around and what you could be collecting on a subconscious level, that you're able to stay focused and disciplined and with a positive attitude, a positive creative attitude. And I think that's really important and very helpful at all times and situations. So, going back on that area, uh, came up a very amazing, great, and that's chapter seven, people. So I'm just letting you know, chapter seven was a replacement, And it's not that the thing that was taken out is not going to be necessarily, maybe in book 2 or 3, after we are going to meet on Zoom again and discuss some things to make sure that it is aligned and fit to the message that we're giving out, and so that it's serving our readers and their expectations of what they can gain and benefit, and the value to their lives and also to their minds and thinking processes.
So let me go a little bit further because I love your backstory, and I think my mute. So I want to ask you that through the learnings and the challenges and everything you've gone through in gaining the research, because a lot of the research, in fact, most of the research into creativity, into thinking, and so much more are areas that most people don't even know about. How were you able to discover the research and extract that out and have it part of your book? I mean, uh, that's amazing. And I think people are going to be blown away. Number one. Number two, before you answer that question, number two, because you mentioned the pandemic that we're in now, I personally believe that having seen parts of your book that, and then from what you told me, that this book and just book one can absolutely be used by people in finding creative solutions by thinking at a different level and thinking at multiple levels and applying it for particular situations that's going to be very effective for them, whether they be health professionals, whether they be first responders, whether they be politicians, people who make decisions, corporations, and so much more, just from the information that you provide. So uh, the first question is the research, the background that you've been able to find, and then if you want to bring about more on the second one.
Sure. Um, and by the way, I've discovered a lot on that about myself, because I tend to be very more like the artistic, I love creating an image and writing and doing stuff like that, and that type of creative part of me. And then I have really learned the analytical side of me that is very heavy, and I didn't even notice it as much. I mean, my intellectual curiosity is really on a peak level. And because of that, if I find like, and connecting, you see, the more you're able to be open. So you might look at something, right? So you have this research and this and that on one topic. And then you're like, okay, well, this research gives me like maybe a B in value of getting what I'm really trying to get out of it. Uh, you can't just stop and just think that you're going to pick one thing of this research, and now you, like, it's up to the people. They can stop if they want to. But what makes it more enjoyable and rewarding is when you are on a task or a mission serving others and yourself, because you're growing, and the more you serve, the more you make space for yourself to grow. And when you're on that type of mission, you want to be very, very flexible and be able to have very good adapting skills, because if you don't, you're going to miss out on even more of what you are able and can do. It's not something that someone has to really help you do. Now, that part, don't get me wrong, we all can delegate and help and duplicate to get better, faster results. I'm all for that. But originally, on an origin, if we want to bring, for example, collaborate creativity versus individual creativity. And it's a subject that I tap on because I have my personal insights on a very nice way for people to connect with that. Why? Because know thyself. And if remember, I told you my original book that was supposed to be before this was Emotional Healing That Lasts. So I'm so about being aligned and able to be congruent with your emotional and your pain and your gain values. Because when you're in alignment with that, you are performing better, and the faculties in your brain have more clarity and direction and better association. So the fact when you get to an evidence or a research, and then you go on to the next one or the next information or whatever that might be, even including when Dr. Bob, when you share with me some of the words and I ask you, what does that really mean? And you tell me, but then I'm another whole 2 3 hours literally going on different areas. What does it mean in philosophy, spirituality, maybe science, and gather a little bit more of an awareness to that particular concept so that I can understand it on multidimensional levels. And this is what I want to provide for the readers. I want to provide for the readers the knowledge and enough information to give them that strategy of how to be in that space with, of course, examples, stories, evidence, and also my personal insights and suggestions and concepts that I even created myself. And that's what it really boils down to when it comes to preparation. So we have the fact that first, you have an interest in the subject, a desire, the willingness to want that. And you have to have the clarity, and then you have to have, of course, the intention. Like, what is your intention? And I always like to have a mission and a vision, and know the purpose of why I'm doing all this, because it just puts me into much of a structured area of having, if this doesn't work at this moment, then I'm going to another style of thinking, and I'm looking at the longer picture, and I'm looking at my mission where I need to arrive. And now this thing here did not get me all wired up to go backwards or make a detour. If necessary, you might have to, but I know that where in the end I want to arrive here. And if it's meant for me with my effort and dedication to arrive, that would be the goal. If it's not meant to me, if it's going to be dangerous, or it's going to jeopardize my health, or it's going to jeopardize anything that is not aligned with my authentic values, then I might have to, look and reconsider and revisit and maybe improve, multiply, discount, or divide the area that I was working on at that moment.
Yes.
So the research has really been a very amazing part that actually now I have learned, I have really, really gotten into that area of enjoying, literally working on it on many different facets, not just in creativity only, but other areas of curiosity that are related maybe to spirituality or mindset or energy or any of that. It just makes it a lot more connected and easier to understand.
Yes. So you did the research where other people really don't have to do that once they get the book, because
It's a lot of time. Let me tell you,
it,
it's not a lot of time, just really that. It's a lot of time that you actually could have your hand numb from being so much into something, doing it. It takes a lot of time to provide, and to have like the best of knowledge that you can provide. It takes a lot
yes,
of time, it takes a lot of patience, and it takes a lot of dedication. And you can't be five places at the same time. You can do five things one at a time, fully present. Otherwise, you're going to go here, here, you're present for 1 second, you're present another 1 second here, and another 1 second, and yes, I am present. But when we're fully present, and you really need to have that little bit of time awareness, and realize that it is something that you have to calculate during the process.
yes. So you spent the countless hours, days, weeks, and months on both research, extracting from the research, putting them into these books. I mean, book one, and then you have the other two coming out. So in essence, it's almost like an encyclopedia, but yet it's more powerful because I know that the stories that you have uh, wove into each chapter are powerful in of themselves, and then each area, starting right from the first chapter, it just keeps going, and it's powerful. One thing after another, learning this and this and this. Because I know that I'm a reader, and I read a lot of books, and I do a lot of research, and you were able to find stuff that I didn't know about, which is pretty amazing, and it just blew me away. So what the heck oh man, because you were saying, did you hear about this? And I said, no, I didn't hear about that. But tell me more about it, because I got excited. And so you were like, boom, 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 about this thing and this thing and this thing and this thing, just shooting
I was
stuff.
in a state of flow. It was just all coming
Oh,
in. It's that optimize a creative mindset energy wanted
yeah,
to plug me in so many areas that I myself was just in, like, okay, how can I be of service? Let me set this time for this. It was incredible and marvelous and just beyond my gratitude expression of myself, my own self, learning also about some of the things that a story was repeated, studied over and over in many programs, repeated, until one day I find on a research paper, not on regular Google stuff that you punch in the middle of it, it starts explaining that concept in a whole different perspective.
yep,
And the founder and the father of that philosophy literally had just not completed it prior
yes, yes,
to all
yes,
its general. And remember when I called it, did you hear about that? I'm like, oh my God, this is what I've been talking, like the words even, right?
yes,
So those type of things happen. It's not that we didn't know about it, we just didn't discover it.
yes,
And it was time to discover that, and it was the time for it to unfold, and that's how evolution happens, and that's how we
yes,
evolve, and that's how everything else truly happens. So having a FaceTime screen today was probably going to be available also 50 years ago if somebody discovered what Steve Jobs discovered that one time. But
yep,
it was his time, and it was through him that this information was to be passed forward. And this is the beautiful thing about creativity
yes,
is is that you're always have something surprising that arrives, and that creates a charge of energy and movement. And some people, there's two different operations. Some people actually create under pressure better than when they're in a good mood. But overall, with all the studies searched, it was more, it was majority of people will operate better under having more of a calm, coherent heartbeat, low blood pressure, your mind, because the blood on the prefrontal cortex of the brain will be able to flow and the oxygen more regulated, and you'll be able to think more, and the faculties and the communication of your neurotransmitters in your brain are going to fire and wire much better together. They'll be like whoo, 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 whoo. And the strength of it is going to be strong more than when you're totally depleted, exhausted, or under fear uh, as well.
yes. It's funny to hear you talking the way you're talking now, because I remember back, and now for me it seems like a lifetime ago when I was coaching you and mentoring and everything else, and how things have now shifted in so many different ways, where the teacher becomes a student, the student becomes the teacher in many ways.
That
And
just shows you are the transformational grandmaster.
you're the one that did it. So I'm not accepting responsibility for your success. Oh my goodness, because it just has blown me away in terms of what's been happening up here, and to hear you talk this way, and I'm sure many other people will concur. People that known you in the past, people that know you now, and I've known in terms of your own growth and your own creative growth and your higher level thinking growth and so much more, that what you've been able to do. And I think this book has just presented itself, and I know as a learning tool for you. People are going to want to learn what you've learned going through this, and as we're facing what we're facing today, and through the book, it's presenting a way for people to.
It couldn't have come as a topic at any better time
Yep.
than now. I had a friend tell me, "Oh my God, Sophie, why are you going to do the pre-launch now? Won't you just wait a little bit because of everything going on?" Why? Tomorrow is not promised. If you have learned something from this life today, that's good enough. Even
Yes.
one thing. So the more you wait, the more information that is not shared. And we are in times where we need to really be that light for others, and the strength for others who aren't able to deal with all the stress and anxiety. And listen, we are given roles in life, and really purpose and mission. And this is not because, oh, I'm able to do it and somebody else can't. No. When I had my child when he was very, very young, I couldn't have put all the same time that I did for this book today, because we were in martial arts, we're in basketball, we're in guitar, and I was working. And by the time we got home and we had homework and all that, I'm tired. So I would just read or take a class of something that I would work on one thing, and that was it. But I couldn't be doing the hours and hours and hours and hours and hours. I'm kid you not, hours and days. Sometimes just roll one to the other when I'm still either in my office or downstairs on a kitchen table with papers, books, and this screen and that thing, and trying to see this and that, to really get this thing together, making a lot of sense and connectedness to each other in this topic, so that you can have it so much easier, and a lot less time that you have to
Uh,
put into it.
Absolutely. Yeah, I can guarantee that if people were to begin just wanting to learn and going through the research of what you've gone through, and then trying to connect everything together, it's people are just going to scream. Yet uh, the value in a book, because I've already
Yeah.
purchased it, because I'm excited. I can't wait for the book
I
to come
see.
out.
You got chapter one already.
I
That's
got
good.
chapter one already, and I pre-ordered the book through Amazon.com. By the way, there's a link in the description here that
Oh,
people
thank you.
can already order. They can
I was
pre-order it.
wondering, you're like, I was still doing stuff, because we had to be on, quarantined, like literally in Florida. Was it yesterday? And so, you do last minute things and all that. So my mind was not really looking at Amazon's details yet. But then I,
Yeah,
I saw it this morning, and I was like, oh, I got few people that pre-ordered, and then they're getting their chapter one too, and that's pretty cool.
yeah, yep. So
And I'm so excited for the feedback that I'm gonna get. I'm so excited for whatever areas that people are in. You see, the book met me at a level of my knowledge, information, intuition, and life experience, and I was able to go from there. It's gonna meet you now with what I'm giving you. This is my passing forward to you now, that you're meant to know this information for some reason, and that information is going to get you to your next level up, and so
yep,
forth. And that's how I learn from other people. And I had to, I read a lot of books and I have so many things. I love all that. There's no way. If it's not reading a book, it's an audio, it's a lecture, it's information that's going to be relating to self development, growth, and whatever it is that you like, even if it's comedies and humor, that's also very helpful and good.
Yeah.
So with that being said,
Yeah, I
absolutely.
know, I know that you've already accumulated a little library there as you've gone through your research, and so you can discover a lot of these authors you had told me about, and even farther than that. So that's pretty amazing, and I'm oh gosh, I cannot wait to grab all your books in a series. But I want to make sure that happens because I'm going
Amen.
to have it part of my library so I can learn the depth of knowledge and that you have, and the breadth of knowledge, the width of everything you accumulated regarding creativity. Because I know that already, having looked at chapter one, and I've already have been able to extrapolate on things that I can actually put into to use as well.
Oh,
And
thank
so that's
you. When you
pretty
told
cool.
me that, I was truly very touched because I have so much respect for your background in learning, and when you mentioned that, it just really meant a lot to me because I know that you're such a reader and a researcher, and I mean, and your PhDs in neuroscience and psychology, and your different masters and everything. I'm like, and when you gave me the feedback, really, and I was very happy that I was able to even get one extra thing of a thought, invoking and stimulating area where maybe something wasn't looked at in this way, and now you see it in a different perspective. And
Yeah,
also,
and
thank you for your contribution.
yeah,
Book one has 8 contributors in different stories. So there's stories in the book and lessons from those stories, as well as a lot of different things. It's a big book. It's not a 30-page book. It's not huge, but it's still there's you can read each chapter individually. I did that on purpose because you can open to chapter two, and that's all it is. Chapter two is its own topic, and they all transition into an area of, like, if I'm going to a grocery store, it's like a Walmart. You're going in one spot for this or that. You can go either to the aisle for veggies, or you can go to the aisle of that. I mean, I don't know. I haven't been in Walmart in a long time. I'm trying to visualize it. But let's say you did go. It's the same idea of any of the stores.
actually,
So
I would say that your book is more like venturing down um, Rodeo Drive in Beverly Hills, and you have all these high-end stores, and this store has this stuff in it, and this store has this stuff in it, and 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 each one has very
you can
valuable
tell.
stuff.
You can tell because of everything going on, and all the stores closed.
Oh yeah, true.
I'm trying to make people relate to a current present use of what they
Kurt,
might be
yeah,
doing. But I can only agree with you. Right on.
yes, yes. Oh yeah, it is
How
right
wonderful
now.
about the association cortex here.
See,
Yes.
and this is what's really great about you, and and yes, I have a lot of learning in all these different areas, yet you've been able to present a different perspective that has even created aha moments for me and stimulated my own, just from what you told me. And then I went in your book, and then all of a sudden my creative mindset, boom right there, boom right there, boom right there, and I cannot wait to read the whole book when it comes out
Uh,
fully in June, and all the other books through the series, and and I look forward to, like, I know that you're going to have like trainings to be able to teach people in terms of creativity, even going back to some of the basics if necessary, and that you're also going to be available for like speaking engagements to be able to educate people in
absolutely.
whatever environment. So those of you that are listening, if you want to grab her now, because she's going to be in demand, whether virtually or in person, once we get past this situation that we're in now. So just grab her. And Sofie, I'm going to transition here because there's so much more. I mean, I can go on and on and on and on and on just with this book one. And I don't want to give what I've already read from chapter one out, and because people are going to have to order the book to get more detailed information. And
He's
so,
teasing you, okay?
yeah. But what I want to do uh, is ask you what three things that if people like you can give some tips. What three things can you give right now without giving your book away that people can take and apply into their life? Because as we're going through this pandemic and everything, maybe those tips will be useful for them in terms of having that creative mindset.
A shift of perspective and perception. Um, we tend to have cognitive biases and fixation. There's a part in creativity that addresses that. And what it is that you look at something of the you're familiar and you expect of what you passed down to know. So for somebody's sick, they have a fever, they could be really bad. There's a chance they could die, there's a chance that they could live. But if it's just a regular flu or cold, you would think, okay, well, I had a flu before, you had that experience, or your brother or sister had it and it just took a week or so and they were back on track. So that memory held associates with that, not as fearful as what is uncertain. And the reason there's a lot of panic about COVID-19 right now is because there is not a cure that was found fully to it, even though they're talking about different things. But in reality, to say that this is it and it's helped everybody, like a penicillin shot in the past or something like that. And that creates more anxiety because people are afraid of the unknown and the uncertainty. But what they're not aware of is that we live in the unknown and uncertainty truly every day. The only thing is that you got so much into a programmed way of doing things that you just know, I'll drive, I'll go to work, I'll stop to eat, I'll stop to the library, I'll pick my kids, I'll come back here. And it just gives you that safety routine that you're accustomed to. And then you just feel that you know it because of what it is. But what you don't face on regular basis is maybe people who lived in war zones all their lives. And I could imagine people in Syria for the past, God, over 7 years now, dealing with the unknown every single day, every single morning. And I have talked to some who actually traveled back there to visit their families, and they were dancing and having fun. And but what we had on TV was like, I'm not saying that there's not a lot of sufferings and things that really are horrible. But what I'm trying to say, when you're in that zone, you have what? You have to act. And then you have to choose with the best of ability that you can maintain a calmer, breathing and health and wellness and all that stuff. So what happens? Those people created their new environment with what they had learned from the past and adjusted with the new environment, and they're still breathing. So they became even more thankful that if even they lost maybe their homes, but they were able to restore and maybe build something else or something smaller, but they were very helpful that they still had their kids together and they were still alive, breathing. Some maybe lost their kids and their family, and that sucks. But I mean, it's things do happen in such cases.
Mm-hmm.
So with the same thing with such thing, it's either we're gonna choose to for it to be a threat and a nervous wreck to our system, or we're going to do our part in preparation. See, preparation is very important, and in all times. That's why you don't just overnight become the best creative person in the world. Even the best artists, some artists stayed on one paint for years and years and years and years and years and years till it completed to what we see and looks like, oh wow. but that took that many years, not days or months or weeks. The same thing when we are developing skills. And part of that would be a creative thing. You don't just overnight become the best writer or the best this or the best that. It takes a lot of effort, work, and practice. People don't understand. It's funny. I'll share this with you on a story. On this guy went to martial arts, and part of their martial arts, they were learning how to protect self-defense if somebody on a gunpoint attacks you. So they'll pretend that that's, and they have a little tool, and they'll take it, and then they'll give it back to the next person they practice with, and they do the same thing to them. So I give you first, I'm learning, and I take the gun out, and I have it, then I hand it back to you right away. And then now you do it for me. And that's how the class worked, right? Doing this enough time for hours and hours and hours, this one person became so good at it. So good at it. He just boom, boom, right away. Boom, boom, right away. Coincidentally, a month later in New York, he gets attacked and on gunpoint. What do you think happened? He went, he took the gun, and he gave it back to the guy, literally. And he got shot in his foot. Practice makes perfect, but we have to really, we have to really have positive discipline. And we have to also know that our subconscious mind is a wealth. It's a safe box. It just puts everything in there, and you'll be surprised. Out of the blues, boom, something pops out, or in a situation, something you learn. So that that's just a story on practice.
That's so crazy. But the thing is, it's literally true. What we practice, over and over again, will tend to repeat that same thing. And so there's practice, and then there's right practice, and I know that with your book, if people institute the information and, making sure that it fits the situation, then
Yes.
yes, and then things will come out.
And I actually did write not this story, but I gave an example uh, that a surgeon is not going to be using certain thinking styles in certain matters and performance that maybe an artist would need to use at that moment. So even if that surgeon is an artist, he would have to switch between two different and thinking styles, for example. So the reason I mentioned this story is going back to COVID-19, and you asked me like what would I say? If we're going to practice fear, and that's all we know what to practice. So
Yep.
how about introducing a different practice in the midst of everything, and actually discover something new about yourself? I think this is the perfect opportunity, literally, for many people to catch up with their houses, their spring cleaning, their projects, spending time with their kids. I know that some are very worried about finances and wondering what's going to happen. But I'm going to tell you, this is a country, it's a nation, and it's the globe going through this. So even if your mind, now please, if you're that leader and that influencer, go for it. Let's hold each other in every way. But if you have so much responsibility because you have, like my sister has 7 kids at home, and she's just trying to keep everybody aligned, organized, and in track, and doing her homeschooling wasn't very difficult because she's always done with that. So she's very aware. They have a school actually themselves, so they're good at that stuff. However, I wouldn't expect that somebody who has more freedom of time, or maybe the right network to be able to do more. Collaborate. Let's do it.
Yes.
But though that's what you want to really tap into. Take times of stillness as well and mindfulness, please, so you can make better decisions for your family, including your finances. And gather maybe with people who are good at that one area that you might be not aware of, and create conference calls and Zoom calls, and let's just open up that space for that kind of attitude in our lives. and
Amen.
uh, and and enough with the competition and worrying about the who's gonna say what and who did it or who didn't. Let's just do it. Let's just
Yes.
do it, and this way, later you can get more creative and do more of whatever it is and let it be yours then later. Right
Oh,
now, let's
wow.
not
Yep.
have that energy resistance to what we could provide.
Yes. 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 Very
Just
powerful.
like I saw this florist
Hmm.
who had a lot of access to toilet papers and wrapping them in ribbons and bows with leaves of things and people. I mean, that was so creative and it looked so pretty. And this group of choir in London decided to go to the streets because they were so dead and quiet and everybody's sad. They kept social distancing, so they were apart, so people were not close together. But they just started playing music on the streets, and then people were coming out of their houses, and it just changed the atmosphere. So now they're doing it once a week.
Yes.
There's a way that you can provide joy, harmony, love, light, solutions, options, service, space, whatever it is that you're able to donate of that. Feel free, because you're going to feel truly free. It's going to free your spirit, and it's going to make space for something bigger and greater in your life to come in because of the intention. And it is really the time, like nurses and doctors and our first responders. I mean, my heart goes to them. I can, like, my stomach when I look at their faces and the things, and them
Yes.
sleeping on the floors, and doctors giving their own beds for people. I mean, oh my God, oh, bless their souls tenfolds and tenfolds, their families, their patients, you name it. But this is true character. This is when we can, in whatever
Yes.
areas we can help support, let's be that.
Yeah. So, in fact, I think it's a really good time. So, if you want to have some creative fun, actually, it's this not creative. This is something that's been done for years and years and years. And by the way, you're allowed to do it to my house. Okay. And what is that? You can TP my house. You're allowed to do that. And have you heard of that, Sophie? So what TPing is that, and a lot of people out there, especially here in the United States, have heard about this. Basically, it's taking toilet rolls and throwing it through, like, all over your house, all over your trees, and all this toilet paper. So yeah, so the people that are short in toilet
Why would
paper
we
would,
do that though? I don't get it.
yeah.
Because
So
they need it, or just they don't want to waste
no,
it.
so it's basically the person has to clean all up the toilet paper off everything like that. And but I think this is a time when a lot of people say, "Oh, come and do it to my house," because we're
I love that.
so instead of like a joke and messing everything up, people are going to be gathering. Oh my goodness, all this free toilet paper.
We've never had the value of toilet paper ever in our life till this epidemic. And the truth is, like, truly, you would need tissues before you need the toilet paper for
Yeah.
actual handling of anything in that for
Yes.
the virus.
Yes. In fact, it doesn't make sense why we even need toilet paper. Yet, I think your book can offer people creative thinking on what I can use instead of toilet paper.
I did
You know,
suggest few things, remember?
I know, I know.
We
We can,
suggested even our last live show.
yep, yep,
Yes, we did. You asked me for three tips, and
yes.
going back to that, and also, so I answered your coronavirus and epidemic at this point, and then you asked me about the research, and I answered your question, and then you
Hmm.
asked me what are three things that I would say that are really helpful when you really take accountability and count. to what you are wanting to provide and offer. In that space, you create such a beautiful presence between yourself, your soul, and everything that you're around. With that intention of giving, the way that you are learning and the way you're receiving is more joyous, uh, because of your intention. See, if you're just doing it because you have to, it's an obligation. And some people might have roles in their lives where they're either working jobs they don't care for or under bosses that they can't leave for right this second, maybe. Things happen, right? We have choice. You can always leave, but you have to be creative with the solutions. But I'm just saying, if you're in that period of time that you're meant to learn that lesson, let's say, the best thing is, again, the intention. If you shift your anger or disappointment, your anxiety, your can't stand that, to how can I change and make a difference in my organization, and or to my neighborhood, or this or that, until you're able to leave, all right, then you are going to be able to definitely be in much better state of mind and performance during that time. Whether it is challenging or joyous, it's gonna both benefit you on a very higher and deeper level. So individual creativity is beautiful. Learning about that is very, very supportive to helping you understand a process so you can do more of that, and invite more of those kind of experiences to your life. And you definitely have to understand that when people think about creativity, that it is just the fun part and the end product. You have to know that there's a team behind it, whether that is your own self and body, your own fingers, your own hands. Like, there's times I'm typing, I'm telling you, like, my fingers were like hurting. My eyes were getting so dry from the screen that I so addicted. Like, I don't want to leave this. Oh my God, I just got onto the best part. I finally got the two links and associations between the relationship between this and that. And my goodness. And all that sacrifice that you do for the bigger why. You know, when my book went live yesterday, I cried. I didn't think I was going to cry. I sat on my knees. I've literally cried. I cried because of all the feelings that came all the time. Sorry. And everything that my heart wanted this for you guys happened. So, thank you. I can't hear you.
Oh, so I want to thank you as well, because it's a blessing for you to be here in all of our lives. Such a blessing, I think God gave you to us, and now optimize a creative mindset in book one as part of a 3-book series. I think this is something that's going to be out there and continued, where people are going to be able to learn and grow from it for years and years and years and years to come. Like, I can imagine somebody's going to pull it up 100 years from now and say, "Oh wow, she was ahead of her
Okay,
time."
Heaven's dancing. I'm like, oh.
In the year
And the
2120,
truth.
somebody's going to be pulling up this thing, and they're going to have, maybe they'll pull up book 3, and he said, "Where's book 1? I can't find book 1. Now I have to go." And yeah, you get to dig it up, because it's it's over
Ancient
there.
wisdom.
Yes, and it's going to cost, so we can bid it on a future version of eBay, and so it's going to be $2,000 for book 1, because you need to complete your series or something. So, but yes, so I want to thank you for the work and effort, the day in and day out grind that you put into this, so we can all benefit for such a low amount that uh, if people were just to really understand that part, and this was not something that happened overnight. And
Actually, it's funny with book one. When the series had to be divided, I had to choose which chapters because remember, I told you you can pick chapters separately in all three of them, literally. For example, if there's a chapter that relates to different subjects in it, I did chapter one, part two, part three, but it's in that chapter one. But then you go to chapter two, you can start fresh from there. And I want to tell you guys, I wanted to really finalize book one and get it going. So before I went to bed, I remember that night I asked the question. I said, okay, optimize a creative mindset. What chapters do you want? And I had written some things just before I went to bed. And in the morning, and I forgot that I even asked that question. I forgot. I woke up, I went to the bathroom, like literally opening the door of the bathroom, walking between my two sinks, literally. Everything was displayed. All the chapters for book one were shown to me in that moment. I remember calling you that day later on
mhm.
because I know that you had coaching sessions and stuff. So I said, my God, I know exactly the chapters for book one. Like it was exactly shown what needs to be in book one.
Yes.
And the reason I mentioned that to you guys, do not forget auto suggestion. Do not forget to ask your questions before you go to bed. Let your subconscious mind work at it. When you're in that focus, you will start being more clear and connected to what you need to know a lot better and faster and easier. So, book one, it shows itself. I mean, it showed me how many chapters as in numbers, as in topics, and it was easy to just bring out from all my different files which chapter is going to where, and it was just like that. And for those people listening, Dr. Bob is the one editing my book, and I want to thank him personally right now in front of all of you because uh, it's a teamwork, and every part, including my cat, I have to give him credit, my angel cat Valentino, because he wanted to be at the pool right now. So I let him be. Normally he
Oh,
comes in the shows, but he was with me all day and he was meowing. He wanted to go, so I let him be. I have a screen in patio, and he loves that area. It's so beautiful. I don't blame him.
yeah.
Fresh air, right? But the thing is, it takes a lot of effort, and behind the scenes what you don't understand what happens before something really ends up as an end product is a lot of work, a lot of work from many people doing behind the scene work, whether you're doing it, others are helping, and so forth. I also want to thank a few people because, they offered me that, hey, Sophie, if you want another set of eyes to read and look at this book, I'm here for you. Just call me, send me what you need, and all that. I didn't really need to go that route, but I have to say it meant the world for me, just that offer. And as well, many of my people in book one that are contributors, and this is going to be another live show, and every single one is going to be interviewed, and I will bring them in and their part and their lessons, because I think it's very, very beautiful. The stories that I even found out about some of my friends, sorry, that I found out, and I'm like, wow, this is really cool. I never knew that. Are you able to see? Okay, good.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so I will be doing a special live for that in particular and for each one. And a lot of people that submitted their materials are going to be in book two and book three because the book just turned out to be a lot more than My
Yes.
intention writing one book turned out to be, it couldn't even go into five or six.
Yes,
If I want to write more, then
yes,
I'll have to
your
do new titles and new names
yes,
down
your
down the road
intention.
and see where it
Yes.
goes. But for
I
now, there
yes,
will
I
be an optimize a creative mindset groups for all the readers, and I'm going to be able to track everyone on their site, on my website. If you are going to order from the pre-launch right now, you would just have to fill in your name. It's a very short form on the website, and your information, just like three questions, and your order number on Amazon, and then you're going to be getting your chapter mailed to you immediately. Um, once you do that. And if there's any questions you have, please feel free to ask. But there will be a private group for the Optimize a Creative Mindset as well, and more coming for that. For now, the pre-launch has just happened, and the actual launch and book signing and event, and praying for wellness and greatness for everybody, and that we are in a much better social connection environment, that I could actually be surrounded by all of you in person, giving you real hugs. And for now, I'll give you virtual hugs, but I'll give you real hugs, and we'll be able to do book signing and more, and create our joy and love and growth together. So, and the third thing that I would say about outside of your individual creativity is also being able to collaborate with others. It is the time for that. Communication, collaboration is very, very helpful with creativity at this time specifically. I talked about this prior to the virus. Literally, I was talking about that for the 21st century, all the skills needed, and those were very important, crucial, including thinking styles and ways. And so now is the time that uh, we are able to practice what we're getting prepared, what we prepared for. So the universe and God and the angels all aligned me to be prepared ahead of time, at least I would say 9 months ahead, specifically on this matter that really needs to be now happening. And so for I'll be able to help in many different ways, because it is a long journey, and there's so many things that we can really wisely incorporate intellectually, actually expand with, that we can come up with great things together. And be there and create.
yes, absolutely.
You're mute again, can't hear you.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me? Ooh, what the heck's going on? I'm not
I can't
mute.
hear you.
I'm not mute.
We're gonna do oh, okay.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can. Very good.
Okay.
Good
Yeah, I just
suggestion.
had to go off. I guess this there's always a glitch in technology, and so I had a
Okay, we're very grateful for what we have already. You guys, once really we can count our blessings, it will make it a lot easier for us to cope with things when they happen.
yes,
Literally, think if we didn't have the internet, if we were under war zone with missiles and airplanes over you, and you don't know where you're at, and you don't know what your friends are doing, no contact, it would be 20,000 times worse than what it is right now.
yes,
So let's be grateful, because when you're in gratitude, the chemicals your brains and your body release are going to be very optimal for your immune system, which is what you really need, is a good immune system right now. So allow your allies of strength to work for you, not against you at this moment. Know that the soul is the boss. Everything else is under operation of the soul, you, okay? So you are commanding what your brain, your body, you have a lot of say so in that area. So take advantage of that information. Learn more about how you can really practice your authority, demand, command over anything that is really destructive to your well being. It is the time to apply that. It is the time for you to stand for yourself and for others. We need you right now. The world needs your best selves, all of us right now. And let's really project and spread that with
Amen.
much love and
Yes.
light. Amen.
Amen. So, Sofie, I just want to thank you for bringing us in the world this gift of optimize a
Yeah.
creative mindset, and a gift that you are always, and
Oh,
inspiring, and so much more. What you've already done, what you're doing now, and then what you're continuing to do into the future, because I know you have so much more, and I cannot wait for the official launch party.
yes.
Yes, that's going to be so exciting. While I did get the Kindle version of your book, I'm going to get a signed copy of your book too, of the physical book. So I cannot wait for
Thank
that.
you.
That's going to be so
Thank
amazing.
you.
And
Thank
and again, the most important part.
every word and every part of everything that I was doing was having you guys in mind. I was
Yeah,
thinking many of my friends and people that I also know, and the people that I'm gonna meet knowing later, that how is this gonna be able to touch their lives in a positive way, redirect their thought process, and improve their thinking skills so they can literally unleash the power of their metacognition and supercharge their imagination and ignite their innovation. And truly, truly, with every part, that was the base core of book one. And that's why it is the subtitle of book one, because it is truly the base of what was the intention for it. And during my writings, during my deposit, I even got into a playful thing with going from my app to Google Drive and having the colors on the different documents. So it was so much fun. And I was like, okay, what color do I want to put on this chapter? And then after that, now I'm like, okay, then after it's all done, that it's a go, it's gonna be green for go. It was like kind of fun to play with all that and creating an atmosphere for my own self and playfulness. I like
yes,
colors.
yes, yes. And it's just been a joy, and also the challenges that uh, working with you on this amazing project. I'm so happy to be part of it, and so much more,
Thank you.
and to see your growth even more so, and seeing the information that I've been able to learn, some of the insider information that's inside the book that's really not out there, and especially not out there in a way that Sofie has put it together in this book. And realize this is just book one of three books. So there's going to be so much more coming, folks. And if you want to be part of that, and I suggest that you go ahead and grab it, book one now. In the description, you can go to Amazon.com and you can pre-order Optimize a Creative Mindset Book One at this
On
point in time,
Kindle.
just on
On Kindle.
Kindle. Go ahead and pre-order that now, and going to make sure that you get your copy of chapter one by filling out the form with your Amazon order number and so much more. And
The
Sofie,
details will be on the post with the website and information, so you can
yes,
have the steps for it, and you'll be able to make it easier for yourself.
absolutely, absolutely. So Sofie, um, just want to thank you for your presence and everything, and I know that it's been a fruitful learning tonight on Wisdom Cafe Live, as with you all the time, whether you're hosting or now as a guest where I get to interview you, where you interview so many other people. So it's just been a lot of fun having those insights. So Sofie,
Blessings,
thank
blessings,
you,
blessings.
thank you, thank you.
Thank you, thank you,
And I
everyone,
want,
for being part of this
yes,
journey with me as well, and your support and your love. And oh my God, I cannot have enough words to say thank you enough for all of you. And I pray that you are safe, protected, and healthy, and being able to tap into a grounded state and calmness within you, and be able to create more of what you really would like to manifest in your life. Amen.
Amen. And thank you, everybody, for tuning in tonight and being here and being part of Sophie's amazing journey, which is continuing. But this is her official pre-launch of her book, Optimize a Creative Mindset, Book One. So I want to thank everybody for tuning in. And again, Sophie, thank you. And we look forward to much more in terms of getting more in terms of your book and the official launch party coming up in 3 months. So
Yes.
yes,
The plan, if everything works exactly, and we're flexible in adaptation, whether it could be online or in person. The intention is in person, but it's going to be on my birthday, and I'm so
yes,
excited.
yes, yes. Woohoo! That's gonna be great.
I
Yes,
always remember it
yes.
more.
The more, yes.
Yes. Thank you, guys. And thank you,
Thank
Dr.
you.
Bob.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye,
Blessings.
everybody. Bye.
Mwah.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye.